having a good cardiac CT program really boils down to two main components. Number one, that's having well-trained staff. And number two, having clear and effective communication between the staff and providers. Now, on the well-trained staff, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, number one, having well-trained CT technologists who are actually trained in cardiac CT, and nursing staff who is also, they're more well versed with obviously the medications and the things like this, but having a nursing staff that's also trained to understand the workflows, dimensions, dynamics, challenges of the CT flow in the department, and that'll go a long ways from the nursing side. CT technologists really have a whole host of things they need to know if they're going to grow into being good cardiac CT techs. One of which is you really need to understand the abilities and capabilities and your dynamics of the scanner you're on, regardless of vendor. We can get more into that in the future as we go through these videos. Two, they have to have a really good understanding and ability if your state allows the technologist to actually start the IV, but they have to have a good understanding of different types of catheters, what may be best for your department and your circumstances. There are some different options out there. Three, you got to understand flow and anatomy very well. Really understanding the dynamics of how does blood flow, where does it go into the heart, out of the heart, what are some different conditions that can restrict that. More things that we will look at in the future. Four, they really need to have a basic understanding of rhythms. You don't have to know a ton about the QRS complex or the PQRST complex, but you do need to recognize what a quality tagging of your R wave really looks like. And so, and we talk about, and we will be talking about looking at that in particular, especially talking about timing between the R wave and the T wave and the R wave and the next R wave. Those are very big things to know. Part of that reasoning is because you also have to know, as a cardiac CT tech, not only phase scanning, but what is millisecond time scanning. When is it appropriate to use? When is it not? And so we're going to dive into those things as well. You also have to understand where, how to recognize based off of your patient of where to place radiation within the cardiac cycle. Now, there's technology that has been talked about for many, many years about going with an ECG-less or gateless cardiac study in CT, but we're not quite there yet. Although I do see some things on the horizon, they're going to be very interesting and they're going to be game changers, but that's for another discussion in another place. Some other things to look at is you really need to understand the differences systolic scanning versus diastolic scanning, things like that. Knowing the different per your protocols or per your order, what is the physician looking at and how are you to best achieve that within the cardiac cycle. Now, the second thing I had mentioned was clear communication with providers. And I have another video where a little call out to providers, and I'll put that down in the description. However, in this terms or in this realm of communicating with your physicians, protocols and protocol understanding really needs to be very clear in the cardiac world. You need to understand your orders. You need to understand what they're looking for and what they're wanting. Now, we do that anyway in CT, but we really need to understand that in cardiac CT. Because in cardiac CT, we're also dealing with medications. So we need to understand what medications may be needed for that test, how those are going to be affected, and in what process and workflow will those be initiated. Of course, working with your radiology nursing staff. Also look at scan. You have to understand the scan dynamics and parameters of what your provider is requiring or is their set policy and or protocol. And then obviously knowing the capabilities of the scanner as mentioned before, but the reconstructions that are capable based off of where you've placed your radiation in the cardiac cycle. Now what reconstructions are needed, why are they needed, and how did those things look? So all of that goes in with clear communication with your providers, and I'll mention more of this again on that other video for providers. But for providers, you really need to go to bat for your technologists. You really need to help them to have more advanced training, especially in the basics and the building blocks. Because remember, no matter how great a technology you have, no matter what vendor you go with, the quality coming out is only going to be as good as the quality coming in. And there's quite a bit of work that goes on the scanner in terms of cardiac CT prior to the scan being performed, and depending about how all the factors go prior will determine how good the success is coming out regardless of technology. So that's why we're here, talking tech to tech. I love talking with y'all. I would love to hear questions. Share this out, sign up. I know we're new and early on with all of this fun stuff, but it's going to be good. I'm going to help you get there. And again, let's recap. What are the two most important factors for any CTA program? This is very basic. Again, number one is having well-trained staff. Number two, it's having clear communication with your providers. Much more to be said. Many more details to come. Videos coming. Hang with me. Sign up, follow, and check us out at cardiacctguy.com. Again, cardiacctguy.com. Take care.